Yeah, like a jackrabbit. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Hi,
How's it going? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So, I kind of want to shift the conversation about DEI a little bit away from culture because I don't know if that's necessarily like a helpful conversation to have. And I really want to talk more about representation. So, 1 in 5 Americans currently is Hispanic. This country, like it or not, is not a homogenous country. We are a very diverse country.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not think that our legislators should be representative of the overall population?
I don't see a way that you can have a quote unquote representative legislature with 435 members of Congress in a country of 340 million people, because you can divvy that up however you want. It's not by race. You could do it by sex. You could do it by gender. You could do it by sexual orientation. How exactly do you decide what is quote unquote the representative group? And also, I don't believe that individuals ought to be represented based on group identity. So, for example, I'm Jewish. Jews are actually overrepresented in Congress. I don't think that we ought to decide exactly how many people in Congress are Jewish based on the Jewish population of the country. I think that's actually a pretty silly way to do representation.
Well, we don't have to do it systematically, but fundamentally, there is an issue with the fact that we are not fully represented. Like, the entire population is not represented.
I mean,
we have
that's not true.
never
We
had a
vote.
black female president. I still have to pay taxes.
We've never had a
the
Jewish
whole
president. Who
concept is
cares?
no taxation without. Well, we have had a white male president. We've had like 45 of them.
Whether Jews count as white or not has been sort of an object of debate for
You do.
quite a while. We do. Okay.
You do.
So, I mean, it depends according to whom, and that's a pretty recent development. Okay, so
Basically, everyone. It's a religion.
Judaism
Do
is
you
also
not
ethnicity.
agree that you were a white man?
I mean, I think that it depends on the context in which you're discussing it.
So
Meaning
what
that
are you, Ben? Are you not a white guy?
I mean, I'm a man
Are
of
you-
Jewish ethnicity, which is sometimes grouped with white and sometimes not. I mean, that's the more accurate way to put it. But when
What
we're
else would
talking
you be
about
grouped with?
with Jews, who are which is an
But it's-
ethnicity, I mean,
So
yeah.
you're not white at all.
I mean, again, it depends who's doing the grouping and how. I've seen Jews grouped with white and Jews grouped with not white. Are we just pretending that doesn't exist? That's a reality. However, as far as your generalized point, which is that we are supposed to identify people by group identity, that if we don't have a black female president, somehow black females have not been represented. So Barack Obama was in no way representative of black females because he's not a female.
No,
He's
he
black.
was. He was representative,
So
but
he was
that's
half
the point.
representative. How do you do the math on this, and why?
You shouldn't do the math on it completely statistically, but the fact
You shouldn't
is
do the math
there
on
is
it at all. You should
clearly
treat people as individuals.
underrepresented.
You should treat people as individuals.
Well, if you don't even want Kamala Harris to attempt to create DEI initiatives in office, then there isn't even going to be a conversation about it.
I mean, I don't think there ought to be a conversation about why we ought to be represented by race or by sex. I think that we are each individual people with individual ideas, and if that person represents my ideas, I don't care what sex, race, or sexual orientation they are.
I mean, to an extent, yes.
No,
But there
entirely.
is an issue with the lack of empathy in office. We need to be able to empathize and legislate for the people that are living in this country.
I was not
Do you
aware.
not believe that?
I was not aware that empathy is relegated to particular race solidarity.
No, but I mean, it's easier to be empathetic towards people whose experiences you can fundamentally understand based on your identity. Like, do you not believe that people have an inherent bias
So first of all, I'm
based
not
on
sure.
identity?
I mean, we can start with the empathy itself. I'm not sure that empathy is always the best basis for actual public policy, because when you have group solidarity and empathy based on group solidarity, you're going to attempt to actually benefit the group with whom you have solidarity. So that actually cuts against
But
generalized
that's like a
public
fundamental
policy.
thing that just exists, which is why we need representation in government. Okay, cute. Thank you.
DEI를 지지하는 개인과 단체는 대학, 기업, 정부 및 기타 단체 조직에서 소수자에 대한 대표성이 부족하다고 불평하는 경우가 많습니다. 하지만 왜 DEI 지지자들은 NBA나 NFL과 같은 스포츠 리그에서 DEI에 대해 같은 주장을 하지 않는지 궁금합니다. 이 리그들은 약 65%의 흑인 남성으로 구성되어 있지만 더 많은 한국 남성이 5년에 3억 달러의 공을 던지는 계약을 체결할 기회를 얻는 것을 보고 싶습니다. 스포츠뿐만 아니라 음악업계나 할리우드 영화에서 아시아계를 대표하는 사람이 없는 이유도 마찬가지입니다. 이 사람들은 대표성이 부족하다고 느낄 때만 대표성에 대해 이야기하고 그 반대일 때는 조용히 합니다. 아시아인들은 이에 대해 크게 불평하지 않기 때문에 종종 간과되는 경우가 많습니다. 올해 초 일론 머스크와 NBA 댈러스 매버릭스 팀 구단주 마크 쿠반 사이에 X에서 DEI에 대한 큰 논쟁이 있었습니다. 일론은 디즈니와 같은 기업에서 개인은 성별이나 인종보다는 능력에 따라 보상을 받아야 한다며 DEI 정책에 반대하는 목소리를 높여왔습니다. 민주당 소속인 마크 쿠바는 공개적으로 DEI 정책을 지지해왔으며 일론 머스크와 DEI에 대해 토론을 주고받으며 DEI가 기업에 좋은 이유에 대한 긴 목록을 작성했습니다. 머스크는 멋지네요. 그럼 언제쯤 매버릭스에서 키 작은 백인 여성이나 아시아 여성을 볼 수 있을까요? 라는 트윗에 댓글을 달았을 정도로 머스크의 반응은 정말 레전드였습니다.
Whoa. Hey, how's it going? How are you? Good to meet you.
So your basis is saying that culturally people don't have the same advantages, right?
I'm saying that not every culture sort of initiates the same action within groups.
So in part, you're saying that you're part of each culture. You know what goes on in each culture to say these things.
No, I'm saying that I can analyze the activities of a particular group with reference to their actual behavior.
So if you go into my culture, we're told that we can achieve anything through hard work. We have to work 10 times harder. But you're not part of our culture, so you're explaining something that doesn't have to do with you. But in turn, you're saying that that culture, unfortunately, does not value the same thing that the next culture does.
So revealed preference tends to be a better way of doing social science than subjective perception. So revealed preference is how people act in the world. So for example, if you have one group of people who say, we really, really value our kids studying, and then their kids don't study at all, that would be a revealed preference.
Okay.
Everybody has
So then when you
reason to
have
say their
people
kids study.
who say in corporate America, you have people who value nepotism versus actual studying hard. What is that called then?
Okay, so the idea that people generally value nepotism over studying hard, I'd like to see the evidence of that, given the fact the vast majority of wealth in this country is not created through nepotism or through inherited wealth.
But Donald Trump was given nepotism, was he not?
I mean, he's one example among a bajillion people who are very, very wealthy in this country. I'm very wealthy now. I certainly wasn't born very wealthy.
But then you can't speak on Donald Trump's experience, can
that
you
just
not?
happens to be the case. Okay, I mean, you can laugh at my particular history, but I grew up in an 1,100 square foot home in Burbank, California, with 4 siblings in 1 bedroom.
In Burbank, hold on.
Sorry, go ahead.
In Burbank, I'm sorry, but in Burbank versus growing up in South Central, being told that you have to excel 10 times harder than the next person, but then you're not part of the culture, to say that you can actually come to these disparities is kind of far-sighted.
The idea that you have to work 10 times harder coming from South Central based on, for example, test score is obviously not true. We've had affirmative action programs in this country for solidly 40
But now
years.
affirmative action is gone. It's out the door.
Thank
Now
God, it was a bad
DEI
program.
is present. DEI is actually saying that we need to have diversity, equity, inclusion. So you're actually putting a footing in the door for different races, different genders, different women, different men, everything. So now you're saying that because this program is gone, this one isn't.
Sorry, you've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
이 젊은 세대는 정책보다는 정부에서 자신을 대표하는 사람의 인종, 성별, 성적 지향에 더 관심이 있는 것 같습니다. 다가오는 2024년 미국 선거에서 카멀라 해리스가 최초의 흑인 여성이 대통령이 될 것이라는 이유로 카멀라에게 투표하는 것에 대해 인터뷰하는 사람들을 몇 번이나 듣는지 당황스럽습니다. 이것이 대통령 후보에게 투표하는 가장 중요한 이유일까요? 심지어 카멀라 인터뷰에서 자신이 흑인 여성이라는 말만 하며 실제 정책에 대해서는 자세히 이야기하지 않습니다. 그녀는 국경이나 경제를 어떻게 고칠 것인지에 대해 이야기하지 않고 대신 트럼프나 인종과 성별에 대해 계속 횡설수설합니다. 안타깝게도 이것이 요즘 미국 정치의 모습입니다.